Mzansi celebs can be dangerous if they want to. Most of them have killed their partners. Others were arrested for housebreaking, drug dealing, and even small things like shoplifting. In this video, we bring you all Mzansi celebs who went to prison. Sawubona and welcome back to Ziakala. If this is your first time, please like and subscribe for more related videos. Number 1, we bring you Briggs. Briggs is a popular South African singer who once had a promising music career. When Briggs was 36 years old, he sexually abused his niece who was just 16 years old. Briggs was then arrested, but he maintained his innocence. However, the evidence against him was way too much. Everyone in the country was shocked. No one thought that Briggs of all people would want to rape. The man had the fame, the money, and a beautiful family blessed with 2 children. Briggs was so successful that he could have had any girl he wanted, but all that Briggs was thinking about is rape. It's even worse because the victim was a family member. After that, he went on about living his life and performing in gigs and concerts as if nothing happened. The victim finally developed the courage to speak out, and Briggs was arrested. That case cost him a lot of money and he went broke trying to defeat the ends of justice. Briggs was found guilty and sentenced to 15 years behind bars. Briggs was 36 years old by the time of his arrest. He is now 43 years old. Number 2, Pitch Black Afro. Pitch Black Afro is a South African rapper, one of the founding fathers of Kasi rap. His real name is Thulani Ngcobo. Pitch was born and raised in the townships of Soweto, Johannesburg. The rapper was very abusive to his wife, Catherine Modisani, and they got into a fight in December 2018, just a few hours before the new year. Pitch Black ended up stabbing his wife to death. It was said to be a very brutal incident. He also grabbed her by the neck and banged her head against the wall repeatedly. 9 days later, Pitch was arrested. He attended Gauteng High Court in Johannesburg, and his lawyer's only argument was that Catherine provoked him. Luckily, evidence is the most trusted talk in court. 2 years down the line, Pitch was sentenced to 10 years in prison. The court ruled the case as culpable homicide, meaning that the murder was not some kind of mistake, and that Pitch indeed wanted to kill his wife. Pitch was supposed to be arrested until 2030, but he only served 2 years, and in the 3rd year, he was released from prison. Number 3, Chup. Chup is a rapper and television presenter born and raised in Soweto. Chup's real name is Molemo Maruhanye. He and his friend Themba Shabalala were involved in a car accident in 2012. 4 kids died at the scene, 2 more were badly hurt, and their brains were damaged for good. The news of the accident shocked the country, and the saddest thing about that incident was that those children all came from poor backgrounds. And here comes a rich rapper and his friend racing just for fun in a busy area that they knew very well that it was a busy area. They bumped into a large number of these children. Was Chup happened to be very drunk and high on drugs when he killed those children. Therefore, he was found guilty of culpable homicide and sentenced to 25 years in prison. He was supposed to come out of prison in 2038 when he is 59 years old. But Chup fought the case from the inside when no one was watching. Chup only stayed in prison for 3 years, and in the 4th year he was released from prison. Number 4, Nati. Nati grew up in a very poor region in the Eastern Cape province, and he ended up being involved in a life of crime just to survive. That did not go on for long, and Nati was arrested and sentenced to 8 years in prison. However, the young Nati had dreams of becoming a singer, and he had the talent to back it up. So when Nati was in prison, he decided to do away with a life of crime. Nati focused on his dream of becoming a singer, and it came true. Nati was the biggest artist in South Africa, scooping all the awards. Nombola was paying everywhere you went. The album was on fire and it went platinum. He won more awards than I can count, and his song Nombola was the song of the year. Number 5, Israel Manzeke Zulu, formerly known as Israel Mako. Israel grew up in the townships of Alexandra, also known as Gomorrah, a place that is both loved and feared. Loved for many reasons and feared because of crime. Israel joined the gangs in the neighborhood, but he did not belong until he was caught and arrested. He was only 14 when he was first arrested. When he got out, the only people he knew were the same old people that led him to prison in the first place, and he went back to them. In 1996, he was arrested again and sentenced to 8 years in prison. When he got to prison, he tapped into his younger self, remembering all the hopes and wishes he had growing up. Zulu decided to form a theatre group called Abangcobi Drama Group. He and his buddies would perform their stories from time to time, and one day he told them that when he got out of prison, he would do whatever it takes to be part of Izo Izo, representing every brother that he left in prison. Fortunately, his dream came true. Today he has done away with a life of crime. After Izo Izo, he joined Gazlam and he has been rising through the ranks ever since. His story is similar to that of Nati because prison was a blessing in disguise for them. Number 6, Oscar Pistorius. Oscar is a prolific athlete who seemingly had this game of life figured out. Oscar lived a life that almost anyone would wish for from an early age. He was celebrated worldwide, dated a beautiful woman named Ria Vastiankam, and he had heavy millions to his name. But that's the good side. Here's the bad side of his story. When Oscar was young, he loved shooting and he learned everything he could about guns. Shooting in itself is not a bad activity, but the problem was that Pistorius had temper issues. One day in 2013, Oscar killed his wife while she was in the toilet. He shot her multiple times. One bullet hit Rieva on the head and her brains blew out. The gun that Oscar used was a typical 9mm firearm, but the bullets that were used in that gun were much more dangerous. When they hit a person, they transform and become bigger and a lot more dangerous. To his defense, Oscar said he lived in a rich area that was constantly preyed upon by poor black men, and he thought Rieva was one of them. His remarks were thought to be racist, using a mysterious black man as a scapegoat. That alone could have sent him to jail, but it was nothing compared to the thought of shooting at a defenseless woman many times, ignoring her cry for help, and thinking that you can get away with it. Oscar was found guilty and sentenced to 13 years in prison in 2017, but he only served half of his sentence. He is out now, rich and single, looking for love. Number 7, Trevor Noah. Trevor has been arrested 3 times. He once drove an unregistered vehicle and he was arrested again because police thought that he was carrying a gun. But his most disturbing crime was when he got arrested for shoplifting. He was held in a police cell for around 10 days. But his mother found him a lawyer and got him out. But this happened when Trevor was here. The comedian goes into detail with all the specifics of his troublesome behavior in his best-selling book, Born a Crime. Number 8, Something Soweto. Something Soweto is a singer who made waves with the a cappella group The Soil. Members of The Soil did not see eye to eye, and that's when Something Soweto decided to start his own thing as a solo artist. But before making good music, the singer was involved in gang-related activities. Having grown up in a poor family in Soweto, Something was influenced by the wrong people and mixed with the wrong friends. They were arrested for robbery and Something stayed for about 2 months in a police cell waiting for his trial. He was still in school when this all happened, and just as his family were trying to get him out for that robbery, they learned that Something had a gun with him when they carried out the robbery. It was a dead end for his family and Something spent many more months in jail waiting for Judgment Day. The day came and Something was finally found guilty of all charges, but he received a suspended sentence, meaning that he will spend his sentence outside of prison because he had never been arrested before. Something said even though he received a suspended sentence, he learned his lesson during the 2 months he spent in jail waiting for Judgment Day. Something turned his life around and pursued his love of music, and today he is a better man. Number 9, Megie Benedict. Former Generation Sector Megie is undeniably talented when it comes to acting. Other than that, she is a woman who has a long history of mental problems. Megie does strange things sometimes, especially when no one is looking. Megie had a baby while dating a white guy, but the baby was black. So the boyfriend argued that the baby was too dark to be his. Realizing that her relationship was at risk, Megie bathed her baby using jig. The jig that you normally buy in the supermarkets. Megie used it on her baby for 3 consecutive days and the baby nearly died. The hospital she took the baby to reported her to the police, but no case was opened because they all thought that Megie had a mental problem. Not before long, Megie screwed up yet again when she was found stealing a small box of grandpa valued at 18 rands. A case of shoplifting was opened against Megie and it lasted for 2 years. Luckily, the case was dismissed due to insufficient evidence. turn Zodwa about. Zodwa was invited to go and perform in Botswana. The agreement was that Zodwa would get there, dance and sing for them, and Zodwa agreed. But when Zodwa performed, she showed them more than they wanted to see. Botswana's police issued a warrant of arrest for Zodwa because she didn't want to keep her private parts private. But the blame soon shifted from Zodwa and pointed to the Botswana people who booked her. Zodwa was free at last, but not for long. In 2021, Zodwa was arrested again. This time it was by the SAPS. The model was detained at Douglasdale police station. Zodwa said that their car was stopped by the SAPS, but they found nothing on them. They told Zodwa and her friends that they would keep them safe for about 2 hours. So they agreed to wait for a while. Jiggy, one police officer takes out his phone and calls his station. He tells his colleagues that they have arrested a big problem called Zodwa Abantu, and just like that, the police changed their story and arrested them. The arrest was unlawful, but Zodwa called them out, saying that they wanted to use her to become famous. If Zodwa was right about the police, well then the police must have enjoyed their few minutes of fame, but Zodwa was never found guilty of anything.